Hello, my name is Sherry Vinsek. Professionally, I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a functional clinical nutritionist, and I'm the mother of Siena. And Siena has asked me to speak today on behalf of SSRIs and my knowledge of them and my experience with them personally, professionally, and as a mother. So I think I'd like to start off with talking about the fact that over the years, how many people I'm seeing that are put on SSRIs for various reasons that maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago they weren't put on SSRIs. We're talking about body dysmorphic syndrome, PMS, postpartum depression, different types of medications for ADD and ADHD that could be of the SSRI family. And these prescriptions are also coming from people other than trained psychiatrists. They're coming from GPs and physician's assistants and nurse practitioners and primary doctors. And the follow-through and the coordination of care is really questionable. So we have a whole generation of young people, children, young adults being prescribed medications that ironically have 20 known side effects. We have a lot of people out there that would like to come off them and are having troubles coming off them. If you look at the Yahoo chat boards and the other chat boards across Europe and the United States, you'll see that most people have side effects, sexual side effects, weight gain, suicidal tendencies or mood disorders coming off, etc. And we know that the SSRIs can be very helpful, and we know people who have said that they've been miraculous for them. They've gotten themselves off the couch, they've gotten them out the door to go to work and start living a fulfilling life. But at what point do we wean or titrate off those? And the situation that brought us to the point of being on the SSRIs in the first place, for instance, grief, death, loss, the underlying current of where the depression came from, when those situations change, isn't it time to look at the potential of weaning off a medication? But what often happens is by that time people have gone up on their dosage of medication, or they're on multiple medications, or they're on medications by different providers, and there's not a clean way of coming off this. And for some people coming off it, they have terrible suicidal tendencies, hallucinations, other types of withdrawal symptoms, Klonopin being absolutely one of the worst, where people go years and years without being able to come off. And we had that experience with Siena. She had gone through a series of events that were hard on her.
My family moved from Berkeley, California to Central New York. And I went to a new school. I lost all my previous friends in California. I was getting bullied a lot in school. So then I went away in the summer to a film camp, and I was sexually assaulted there at that film camp. And when I went home, I kept that in for a year, and I blamed myself. It eventually came out in therapy about a year later. But I held that in for a long time, and then actually eventually my dad left to move to California for his job and also maybe space from the family. And he was my best friend, so I lost my best friend. I was holding something in and also blaming myself for something that wasn't my fault. And then I had Lyme disease. I got bit by a tick during cross country. I was out of school for a long time with a lot of health issues. They discovered another health problem, and I had to get a serious surgery. So I was in recovery for about 3 months. I developed a black hole inside of me. A black hole of not caring about anything, complete and total numbness. I could no longer see a point in living. I could not see outside of my small life. I couldn't see the bigger picture anymore. Pain of not wanting to exist really to a point where I thought about suicide maybe 9 out of 10 times a day.
We never wanted to put Siena on any medication, but as a parent, you feel trapped sometimes. You know, you're a happy-go-lucky, funny and creative, beautiful child is suffering from manic depression and is suicidal, and you feel like you need to act.
I went back to my psychiatrist. He put me on Lexapro, Lexapro, which I am actually still taking now. So at that time, you know, the pill was the easy fix, and my parents, you know, were listening to the doctors say that this could potentially take your daughter's urge to kill herself away, and obviously they're going to be like, okay. But eventually, I mean, there was nothing standing in the way of me taking the drug, and it was great. It was not great. It was good for a while. It was it did its job. It was the Band-Aid that I needed. But there was a point where I was worried because I would think about it a lot. Day to day, I would think about when I'm going to take it, if I took it, and that kind of mindset was scaring me a little bit. And it would actually rev me up a little bit, so much so that it would actually rev me up to the point where I wouldn't be able to sleep some nights, and I became a total insomniac. So I went back to my doctor. He easily prescribed me Klonopin, which is a benzodiazepine. A benzodiazepine is one of the most addictive drugs there is, besides like opioids. And after maybe 2 months, I was not only addicted to the antidepressant I was taking, but I was really starting to get addicted to Klonopin. But I knew that I could, I knew with running and with the right stuff, I could get off Klonopin by myself. Nothing compared to going off Klonopin. But I did. I was very hesitant to go on anything else for a while, but I still wasn't sleeping, and that was becoming a real problem. So they eventually got me on Ambien. Ambien started causing blackouts. So I went off Ambien, and then they tried Seroquel. Seroquel was decent, but Seroquel, again, I mean, these were drugs for trying to get me to sleep. Seroquel was, made me super groggy, just beyond, and I had a horrible sore throat on that drug, so I went off that. And then they thought, well, if none of these sleep medications are working, then maybe she should try increasing, trying to get that anxiety out of her mind and helping with the anxiety. So my psychiatrist then prescribed Buspirone to be taken while I was taking Lexapro. Buspirone is an older, it's not an SSRI, it's an older anti-anxiety drug. And I was taking Buspirone and Lexapro at the same time, but again, there was that feeling of there was a curtain over your brain. I had no creativity. I could not think. I could not focus. I was on drugs, and I was drugged out.
Definitely, the healthcare system is very much geared towards the use of pharmaceuticals and less towards finding root causes and using alternative methods for treatment. And if you're lucky enough to find those alternative treatments, sometimes, or quite often, they're not covered by insurance, and you'll get, you know, mixed results depending on what they are. But I think that
I was in a place in my life that I was actually exercising every day. I was not sleeping very well at all. I mean, even with the Klonopin, I still would wake up and not be able to get to bed. I was not getting more than 5 hours, 4 hours a night. And but I was running, and that was, I think, honestly, the thing that saved me more than Lexapro, more than Klonopin, more than anything, was running. Those runs, that little bit of exercise I would get and being able to get out in nature, even when it was freezing, that was the thing that saved me. And I learned a lot through running at night and running in the day, and being alone with myself, and pushing myself to a place that I didn't think I could push myself mentally, when after maybe 4 miles or 5 miles, when my head was yelling stop, but my body kept going.